Business lobbying and the big picture. When the sugar industry lobbies for sugar tariffs, economists are quick to cry rent-seeking. A concentrated interest lobbies for a concentrated benefit, paid for by a diffuse public nothing mysterious. Strangely, though, businesses also often lobby for big-picture policies. There's a business perspective on school reform, infrastructure, environment, healthcare, workplace diversity, and much more. You could say, what's so strange? Businesses benefit from a disciplined workforce and top-notch infrastructure, so they naturally push for strict schools and shiny bridges, but this objection ignores the standard public goods argument. Most firms have no realistic chance of changing policy on education, infrastructure, or any other big-picture issue. The polity is just too big. So why don't they just free ride, hope for the best, and save their lobbying dollars for narrow issues where they are likely to change the outcome? None of this changes the plain fact that businesses do engage in big-picture lobbying, but it does undermine the standard rent-seeking explanation of their motives. What else could be? The obvious story is that big-picture lobbying reflects business leaders' sincere convictions. When individuals give money to broad political causes, we usually infer a charitable motive, even if we loathe their causes. You could see a lot of business lobbying through the same lens. Firms spend money on big-picture issues because firms are run by humans and humans care. Yet on reflection, there's reason for skepticism. Firms, unlike the vast majority of individuals, have to worry about public relations. A good public image is good for profits. A bad public image is bad for profits. This is pretty obvious when firms loudly give to charity or brag about how green their products are. If they're doing it solely out of the goodness of their corporate souls, why do they crow so loudly? The same mechanism could easily explain their big-picture lobbying, too. Businesses lobby for schools and infrastructure because backing do-gooder causes is great public relations, even if the school and infrastructure spending is a big waste of money. You could view this as an argument in favor of the business community's big-picture policies, but you shouldn't. While firms have a clear incentive to lobby for popular big-picture policies, many popular policies are ineffective or counterproductive. If businesses genuinely cared about good policy, they would be happy to publicly second-guess the wisdom of popular panaceas. Each firm's profit-maximizing strategy, though, is to pander to public opinion, come what may. H.T., inspired by several conversations with Bill Dickens, where he used 19th century business support for the expansion of public education to rebut the signaling model of education. September 9th, 2013. Arbitrary intervention. Life is full of suffering. At least that's what the Buddha tells us. And if you're a glass-half-empty kind of person, you'll find endless confirmation. In a statist society, our response often seems to be, if there's a problem, government needs to fix it. On reflection, though, that's not how actual governments work, at all. Imagine writing a list of everything wrong with the world. There's hunger, broken hearts, unemployment, screaming at your kids after a bad day at work, cheating on your girlfriend, pollution, heretics, burning of heretics, promiscuity on TV, promiscuity in real life, obese kids, obese adults, people coughing without covering their mouths, the Islamist threat, seniors eating dog food, the decline of marriage, bosses who scream at their workers, kids who don't call on Mother's Day, people who don't read books, school bullying, boring jobs, boring teachers, men dying years younger than women, people who don't know how to start small businesses. You could go on and on, and on and on and on. Go on, try it. Now ask yourself, how many of these problems does government even claim to try to alleviate? No matter how statist your society is, there are probably 10 problems the government ignores for every problem it tries to address. A Panglossian economist would instantly invoke scarce resources and marginalism to explain these patterns. But if you put such preconceptions aside, this story isn't very plausible. Consider this thought experiment. 1. List as many societal problems as you can think of. 2. Forget everything you know about actual government activity. 3. Rate the problems on your list by A. Severity and B. Responsiveness to government action. 4. Remember everything you know about actual government activity and see how closely it matches your ratings on 3. I say you'll find a massive mismatch. For example, we spend trillions fighting terrorism, but mere billions reducing traffic fatalities. And the reason isn't that terrorism readily responds to money, while traffic fatalities don't. We spend 10% of our budget helping relatively poor Americans, but use the Coast Guard to prevent Haitians from sailing here to shine shoes to save their starving kids. Again, the reason isn't that cash is a panacea for relative American poverty, or that Haitian immigration doesn't put food on Haitian kids' tables. Once you make a token effort to suppress your just world bias, actually existing government intervention looks incredibly arbitrary. Why then do people support the interventions they do, while apathetically ignoring countless other forms of human suffering and degradation? For the most part, people support the interventions they have because they have them. It's not about the severity or treatability of the problems, it's about conforming to our secular religion. Our society says that poverty among American seniors would be a terrible problem, so we have massive social programs to prevent it. How do we know this disaster is especially pressing in a world so full of suffering? We don't. We don't even try to do a fair accounting. Instead, we make stuff up and shame anyone who subsequently furrows his brow. Simple as that. May 17, 2012.